Hey everybody, good evening. I'm really glad to see you guys here tonight. My name is Sharon Shaden Burks, and this is the Idea Networking session for not November. Nope, back up, October 2024. I'm really glad that you're all here. And we have hopefully two guest speakers. Definitely one is here, and I sent a message to the other one. Hopefully she's just on her way. So today, who's here with us right now, we have Claire Dombkowski. She is going to share how she got into her field, her current role. And if it's just the two of us, I will stay out in the main room when we do breakout rooms. And you are free to ask me questions too. I can speak about higher education. And if you're making that transition from English language arts or TESOL, because I was an ESL teacher in my first career. I think it's okay to go ahead and jump over to Claire. Write down your questions as she's speaking, so they're top of mind when we get to that part, and you'll have time to chat in breakout rooms. And also at the very end, we'll do whole group Q&A. Claire, I'm going to get you spotlighted.
Great. So good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're coming to us from. I'm really glad to be here, and my name's Claire Dombkowski. I'm a senior instructional designer at a company called Accolade. So I transitioned, from K-12 public high school over to the corporate side. So just a few words about my path. I have a German studies degree, so I am also representing the language and like liberal arts sort of side of things. I know I might be speaking to an audience of STEM, but I don't have as much insight there. So I always loved German. Starting in the summertime, like as a teenager, I always went to summer camp. When I was 18, I went back and I taught during the summer. And then leaving undergrad, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I already had a skill. I could teach foreign language. So I just looked to go into that full time. So I ended up doing alternative certification, and I taught in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm originally from Wisconsin, and I currently live in Philadelphia. That's where I went to school as well. So during those years in South Dakota, and I do want to caveat that while I was teaching German full time, yeah, go Wisconsin, love it, love it. Any cheesemakers in the house? I'm originally from Monroe. My time spent, full time in the K-12 environment was quite brief. I was there for 3 years, but I started my career, or full-time teaching career. I was at Washington High School. I had a full slate of German classes. I coached debate, and I have an experience that might resonate with quite a few of you and quite a few former teachers that I've talked to, where I loved my subject and I was deeply passionate about my subject, but there were a lot of other factors sort of in the way. So from, general bureaucracy to behaviors, especially going into the pandemic and post-pandemic, just any sort of just daily like office politics, which I get is inherent in any role, but to everything that wasn't teaching. So I knew, going into exiting the 2022 school year that it wasn't going to work for me. So I guess I'm here to say, like, and this is not against anyone who has taken like a certification course or done something like that, something that they've seen on LinkedIn or something that they've seen online. But there's a lot of pressure, like when you're on LinkedIn or when you're on social media, to take like there's a lot of ID sort of influencers out there who say, to get this job or to get this role, you need to take my course. You need to, learn from me. You need to be, you need to be just like me. And there's a lot of people who have found a lot of success there. But I definitely, I frankly didn't, couldn't do that. I mean, there's a lot of my colleagues, now who have taken, graduate programs and taken certificate programs, but I didn't have the, the funds to really, fuel that career change. So I did a lot of research. From the spring into the summer, I was treating it like my second job. I did a lot of work. I looked at other people's portfolios. I did a trial of Articulate 360, maybe multiple free trials, but you didn't hear that from me. I wouldn't admit to that. But it's something that one could do. And I really just tried to upskill myself and to market myself as convincingly as possible. So it's a numbers game. I applied to right around like 50 to 60 ID roles. I heard back from 3 of them. I got a final round interview from 1 of them. So this is, 1 out of 55, frankly, and I'm sure it would be a similar situation today. But the role that I landed was transformative. So I moved over to the corporate side, and there were some growing pains at first, not having that background necessarily. But when you say that skills that learned in the classroom are transferable to ID, that's entirely true. So the idea of being a skilled communicator, the idea of being a skilled articulator of one's ideas, the idea of being passionate about learning and wanting to transfer the knowledge that you have to someone else in order to better their lives and lead to more success in the future. That's the core of my role at Accolade. The technical skills and I guess sort of some of the corporate communication versus K-12 communication, that's something that I learned on the job. So I've been at Accolade for just shy of 2 years. It'll be 2 years in at the end of next week, October 10th. And it was wonderful. So Accolade is a benefits navigator. If they contract with customers. So we have like Meta, like American Airlines, United Airlines, State Farm, Lowe's, and a bunch of other ones. And then we become those customers and those members' member services. So essentially we become the number on the back of our customers' insurance cards. And if they call in saying, hey, I need to know why am I paying money for my laboratory services, for my blood work, instead of having it be covered at 100%? How can I find a cheaper place to get an MRI? This is saying that I owe $6,000. How is that possible? And is this true? Can you help me? Those examples that I named off the top of my head are all examples that I heard just today. So I work in a variety of facets. I work with, so I essentially design the new hire training programs. So I'm curriculum manager of, I think, 6 or 7 curricula, depending on the role. And I produce a lot of not only e-learnings, but also facilitator guides. I do occasionally, step in front of the camera or step in front of the classroom. So I've retained some of those presentational skills as well. Again, primarily working with new hires, but also in a continuing education capacity. So I work across the business. I leverage, different stakeholders, different SMEs, subject matter experts, in order to, really refine that experience. So the people that I'm teaching are the people who work directly on the phones with our members, the people who work with our second opinion service, the people who work with our specialty teams. And it's something that I find truly rewarding, and it's something that I've really enjoyed. In spring and summer of 2023, I got to work for 10 weeks out of my company's Prague office, which I realize is an absolute edge case. That's definitely not the norm. But that was also, to say nothing of the job being a transformative experience, the single highlight of my career, where I got to develop not only professionally, but personally as well, and really, strengthen my relationships with my coworkers, with my colleagues, across time zones as well. So I was promoted to senior in June of 2024. Some extenuating circumstances there. We had another team member leave. That team member hasn't been replaced. There were stressful times. I don't want to sugarcoat it. There's definitely crunch time, busy season. I was saying when we first got into this, to the Zoom, that open enrollment is coming up for a lot of people probably on this call. That reflects on me as well. But even the most stressful time, I would say, at my current role is less stressful than the average day, in the high school environment. So I'm here to hopefully provide sort of a nuanced take. I realize the luck, and the privilege that I've been afforded with a really great role, but I hope to shine a light on any questions that you may have. So thanks so much for your time.
Yes, it's definitely open enrollment time. I don't know. I sometimes get real confused when it comes to, like I said, the flexible spending accounts, because I'm just like, well, this money is going to come out of my paycheck and it's going to go where now? They're taking it, but I get it back. And why are we doing this? I'm confused. I think I get it. It's about taxes, right? Is that right, Claire? It's about
They, yeah, they, so with the FSA, they are pre-tax dollars. So you can go ahead and at the, at at that point, when you're signing up for your FSA, you can say like, hey, I'm going to allocate, let's say, I don't know, $100 or $200 a month, and that gets deducted from your paycheck pre-tax to be used on eligible medical expenses. There's a wide range of those expenses. There's even the online FSA and HSA store in case you have that money burning a hole in your pocket. But I mean, some people don't realize that it can be used for things as banal as like sunglasses, or sorry, sunscreen. Don't want to misspeak.
oh,
And something and things as fanciful as the chirp wheel, which is this wheel that you can like crack your back on. I don't have one, but my coworker does. But yeah, the biggest thing is that they are pre-tax dollars. But with FSA, you do have to use it within the plan year. Otherwise, those funds are forfeit. HSAs, on the other hand, can stay with you between employers and between plan years. So I also have some degree of health insurance knowledge. If you have any of those burning questions, feel free to message me, on the
careful.
side, or bring them up here.
You probably
I offered them to everybody, and I'm not, it's like, I don't bat 1,000, but I can always do the research and find out the answer for you.
I just remember that at one time when I was figuring out what I was going to do, I understood that it was better for me to do that. I actually made a dependent care account that's offered to us. So I was having money. This is totally off topic, but I was having paycheck deductions going to this dependent care account, and because I pay so much in childcare, I use the whole thing and don't pay tax on it. Is that right? I think I understand. I don't know. I
Yeah, it's
think
like those, sorry to talk over you. It's like the money is yours. It's like, you would be putting the money like in an account for childcare
yeah,
anyway. So
right,
that's money that hasn't had like, state and federal taxes taken out of it first.
right.
So
Yeah.
that's the perk.
Oh, I hate money sometimes. I don't see Alyssa yet, so I'm gonna assume that hopefully she's okay and just got the time wrong. That happens sometimes. But I'll go ahead. Let's see. She's in North Carolina. I wonder if she doesn't have power. Because I know people were still dealing with that. Let's hope she's okay. I'll share a little bit about me, in case there are people on this call who don't know my background and would like to know. I came from, am I spotlighted? I am, okay. I came from higher education TESOL, and my first role outside of that, after teaching for 13 years, was in media production for community college. So I worked with our videographer and our graphic designer to create high quality audio and video for online classes. And then in January 2023, so 4 years after I started, is that right? Yeah, 4 years after I started, I moved into a traditional instructional designer role. And this past summer was promoted into a senior instructional designer role. So what I do now is I develop online, mostly online, some blended, some competency-based education courses, which are set up a little differently. All across disciplines, I have a very wide range of courses that I develop, and I mentor other instructional designers on our team. I participate in committees like our AI implementation team, our LMS review team. Sometimes I lead faculty trainings Some of them I design for asynchronous delivery. Some I give in person. Some are done via Zoom. It just depends on how it's best to engage the faculty member. But honestly, the most training that I feel like I do with faculty is when I'm actually working on a course with them. Sometimes it's hard for the stuff that you teach when it's front loaded at the beginning for it to stick. Like you teach the stuff, oh, we're going to build a course together. Here's the things you need to know. And they're like, okay, I took all the quizzes, and then they're in the class. And it's like, did you remember what we learned at the front? So sometimes it just, they learn better when they're actually doing it. And I'm that way too. I was joking with my coworkers today about the very honest truth about me that I don't read instruction manuals. I don't. They don't do anything for me. I can sit there and the words can go in my brain, but that doesn't help me when I'm actually doing the stuff. I am the kind of person that needs to start using the thing, and then I have a question, and then I go and I look at the instruction manual. Maybe if I can't figure it out, I like to tinker around with stuff. So it took a long time to figure out that was how I learned best. But I figured it out, and I think that that's helpful in instructional design because you can bring that experience into the design process and be like, how would this kind of learner experience this course? If they don't move from A, B, C, therefore D, what is another way into the content that would make sense to them? Okay, we are back after doing breakout rooms. Before we get to whole group Q&A, I want to remind everybody that our next session is Tuesday, November 5th, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to drop the link to that in the chat so you have it available. So if you want to just get it on your calendar and be ready for next month, you can do that. There's the registration link. Something I wanted to show, because I have access to it right now, is the new AI assistant for Articulate 360. Is that okay to show before we take a couple questions?
Please.
All right.
Yeah, we barely even touched AI. That's a whole other frontier.
Yeah, we are doing so much with AI, trying to figure out how we can use it. Am I on the right screen? Can you see this atomic model of gases?
Yep.
Okay, so I played around with it a little bit, and I found that what it's really useful for is if you've already had the content that you're putting in your course, there are some nice things that it can do. So I'm going to duplicate this block that I already have here, and show you something that it can do. You can convert these. Let's see. Isn't there a way? Generate. I could convert this block to something else. That is not how I did it before. Oh, bummer. How did I do it? Oh, here it is. Why does that one have it and this one doesn't? Sometimes you get these little, yeah, I'm still figuring it out. Sometimes you get these little things here and you get an instant convert. I'm not sure why it won't show up here for this text one, but let's just try it on this one. Get rid of this. And I'll duplicate this guy. Okay. So not sure why it's available on this one, not the other ones, but say you want to convert this to something else, you can see what it looks like in a different form. That one doesn't have a ton of content. Let me try it on. Why doesn't it show up for text? That's so weird. I can do it for this one. So let me duplicate this. And oh, just edit with AI. Yeah, I'm not understanding when that option is available. I don't think that that's any different. It's the same. That's no good. Should have demoed this. Okay, let's try this one. That one I can. I should have figured this out before I did it live. Okay, let's
No,
do.
it's Articulate is really finicky with its AI, honestly. Like I haven't gotten to delve too deep into it because we're still figuring out if we're
I
getting a
have not
license.
found a lot of time savers yet. I've been mostly figuring out what it can do. So okay, here it converted this to an accordion.
Be careful with the AI because I was playing with it today and it generated an image because I was doing a flight attendant orientation kind of project and it put a different language of words with the photo when I did
Oh
AI.
yeah, it's
So it's
so
kind
bad
of
with fake
weird.
images. I have some. I just have to show you some of the nightmarish things that ChatGPT has given me for. I'm like, what is happening? It created this, which I don't even know. What is
Huh.
what is this? I really wonder sometimes how it landed on some of this.
Fascinating.
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just know it's real weird. It's real weird what it does with text in an image. Why I can't get it right, I don't know. Anyway, so there's some ability to just convert stuff to other things, converting it to flashcards. Again, are they useful flashcards? I don't know. Like that doesn't seem like a useful flashcard. It really depends on the content that you're giving it. I also tried it out for storyline and I didn't find it saving me a ton of time yet. Some of the stuff is just easier for me to do in Chat GPT and pull it over and to articulate. But anyway, sorry that I wasted some of that time demoing something that didn't work, but now we know a few things. I will open it up for your questions.
Do we need to type the questions or can we just ask them?
You can just ask.
Okay. So I currently have 3, I guess, courses in my portfolio that I'm putting together with Google Sites. And I'm going to work on Storyline next and do a couple courses in that. And then I'm going to do a guided presentation kind of slide deck. And I already did an infographic for microlearning. But like, do you think I should wait until I'm finished with everything before I start applying to jobs? Or do you think just apply anyway? And if it's not complete, they can look at what I have so far?
Yes, that's what I think. Go
Okay.
ahead and apply. I mean, like Claire said she applied for 50 to 60 jobs, right, Claire?
Yeah, I mean, I was working on my portfolio during during that point.
Well,
I know that, you can submit your portfolio with your application. I generally didn't do that, which I mean, hindsight is 2020. Maybe that would have gotten more traction. Maybe that would have made me, ultimately a lot more attractive of a candidate. But when requested, I had like the one project, then I had 2, then I had 3, and then it's like I could add another paragraph on this. And it's all about, putting your best foot forward. But that's always a work in progress. So to have something is better than nothing.
I've been because 2 recruiters reached out to me and I was like, oh, I'm currently working on a project. I'll get back to you shortly because I didn't feel prepared. I was like, well, oof.
Beth is asking if she would recommend keeping a subscription to Articulate. My employer pays for it. If I were paying for it myself, I think it would depend on what the workload is that I have in the queue. That, if I have projects lined up that I'm working on as a freelancer, I think it's incredibly useful. Rise is super easy to build a course, but if you're just taking a couple things here and there, I don't know if it's worth it because it's so expensive. Allie, you had your hand raised.
Yes. So as far as the format for portfolios, some of them kind of look like a website, and I wasn't sure if it's normally like a website or is it, I haven't looked at that many, but like, or is it like a PowerPoint? Like when you say you can submit it with a application, do you mean like a link and then it's like PDF? Like how would you do that?
Claire, do you want to pick that one up?
Yeah, sure. So I would say, yeah, I mean, I see in the chat. So Google Sites, so whether it's Google Sites or Wix or any sort of like free website generator, I would say that that's where the majority of them lie. You think about like the Devlin Peck like portfolio showcase, and a lot of those people have, they're paying like the 25 or 30 bucks a year for a Squarespace page, like Squarespace or something similar. I'm sure like that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head, but it's like you can also pay for a domain. I mean, if that's like the investment that you'd like to make, I did keep clairedomkowski.com for about a year and a half, and then I let it lapse. It's not a huge investment like in the way that like having an Articulate subscription would be, but you can absolutely do it for free. But if it's like submit your portfolio, I would say that a lot of it's very popular to just have like this is a link to my website. Not to say that you couldn't do it, in a PDF, or not that you couldn't do it, yeah, like in a PDF form. But I would say, like whether it's your own domain or whether it's, domkowski.wix.com, I would say having your own space, and having your own link, is the standard.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I have a Canva subscription, so I will do that. Thanks.
Very nice.
We have time for maybe one more quick question. And I also put the link to tonight's feedback form in case you want to give me feedback. Celeste, if I apply to contract jobs, should I expect them to provide me with software? That's a good question. What do you think, Claire?
Yeah, I mean, that is a great question. That's a great question for your recruiter. I did speak to a recruiter with, an enticing but not that enticing contract role where it would fizzle out in March 2025. But that was, the expectation was that I would be just, joining the team, but only as a contractor, and I would have access to their Articulate suite. I mean, for reference, my team, it's like, we're talking about like 4 figures a year for the Articulate 360 suite. I know that like my company I think spends almost $9,000 like on licenses like between the team. It's not a cheap program, but they are sort of the industry standard. So I guess you have those externalities there. But I'm not sure. I mean, freelance, it's like that's the industry expectation is that, yeah, like you're coming with your own equipment. But if it's something with a contract, that I think that has to be a case by case basis. And I don't have a lot of insight there.
All right, and that brings us to 8:01. We're a little over, sorry, but I will take the blame on that because my demo went way too long. I hope to see you guys back here November 5th. Claire, thank you so much for sharing your time and your talents and your expertise. It always makes such a difference when people take some time to help others who are trying to get into the field. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you guys in November.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for having this space.
We appreciate it.
It's helped a ton of people. So thank you so much, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a great
you.
night.
Bye.
Take care.